Your friendly neighborhood YouTuber is rated PG 13. Parental advisory, explicit content. Viewer discretion is advised.
You've heard of The Dark Knight Rises. Here is the Chubby Cat Rises. Hey, what's up everyone? It's your friendly neighborhood YouTuber! And we are back. Here, we're doing something a little bit different, guys. Today, I'm going to do a movie review of The Batman. So, a lot of you guys want my 2 cents. Some of you guys may have watched other reviews, like myself. So, most of the reviews that I've watched... let me bring my camera down just a little bit. So most of the reviews that I watched, a lot of these nerds were praising this Batman movie. They were all up in it. They really liked this Batman movie. I will say it was a good movie. Let me get comfortable here, fold my legs. It was a good movie. I'm going to give you my rating. So my rating of the movie was probably like a 7.5 out of 10. A lot of people are saying that it's the best Batman movie. I'm going to have to slightly disagree. Where do I start? I just want to let everybody know that it was a good movie. I thought it was a good movie. Now, I'm going to tell you everything that was wrong with it, and I'm going to kind of tear it apart a little bit. And I'm not bashing the movie by any means. I'm just telling you my insight on how I felt about the movie. And this is going to be spoilers. This is not a spoiler-free review. This movie has been out for a while. So I'm going to give you my 2 cents on it. So the movie, we'll just start with Robert Pattinson himself. So Robert Pattinson did a great job playing Batman. Awesome job. I kind of knew he was going to be an awesome Batman. And one of the main reasons why I knew he was going to be an awesome Batman is because if you guys watch Twilight, I'm sure most of your girlfriends or wives made you watch Twilight, then you knew that he could pull off Batman. Because essentially, this character was essentially his character from Twilight. He may be a little bit older, maybe a little bit wiser, but essentially, that's what he was. This was an emo Batman. If you guys watched Twilight, then you guys know. Go back and watch the Twilight movies. Essentially, he was an emo vampire, and now he's just an emo guy with a Batman mask on. So, give our take, you know what I mean? Except, you know, he wasn't beating people up and he didn't have the Batman mask on. Essentially, he's the same damn character. It's the same damn character. I'm not trying to bash, you know, Robert Pattinson, great actor. Go back and watch Twilight. If you've never seen Twilight before, and maybe a lot of you guys have not seen it, essentially it's the same damn character. And that's nothing new, you know, because actors, if they're good at playing, you know, certain characters, that's what they do. You know, from Denzel Washington to Tom Cruise, essentially it's the same damn character. If they're good at it, then that's what they're going to do. That's what they're hired to do. That's why I knew Robert Pattinson would play a good Batman, a good emo Batman. With that being said, it was very emo. The movie was very melodramatic. That's the best word I can use for this movie. It was a very slow Batman. Dare I say, it was a very boring Batman. And I say that in a good way because this movie took a lot of things from a lot of movies. Essentially, a lot of people are comparing it to Seven. I 100% agree that it is Batman. It is pretty much Seven, except there's Batman in it. I mean, if you guys never seen Seven before, David Fincher, go back, watch it. It's from 1997. Seven, I think it's from 97. Go back, watch that movie. It's the same damn movie. It's the same damn movie except Batman. If Batman had taken place in 97, and Brad Pitt would be Batman, Morgan Freeman would be Jim Gordon, it would work really well. That would be Batman. So it's still pretty much the whole premise of Seven. I'm not saying it's a bad thing because I love Seven. One of my favorite movies, one of the awesome movies. If you guys like horror movies and if you've never seen it, watch that movie, then watch the Batman. Essentially the same damn thing. Speaking of the same damn thing, one thing I liked and disliked about this Batman is it essentially is the same damn movie as The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. Let me explain myself. Essentially, what the Riddler is what the Joker was in The Dark Knight and what Bane was in The Dark Knight Rises. He's essentially a terrorist. He kills people, he kills government officials, and he blows shit up. Essentially, that's the plot to The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. I feel like this movie, you take the Batman movie, and you can place it in between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, and it would fit perfectly in that format, in that context right there. So this movie is not as good, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. I don't think it is as good as The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises. And one of the main reasons why, actually two of the main reasons why, is because The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, they had some amazing action in it. This movie, yes, it had action in it, but it was very boring. It didn't have as much action as The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises. I have to admit, the Batmobile scene was freaking amazing. Great scene. Is it better than The Dark Knight with the Joker and Batman? Oh man, that's a tough one, bro. I think they're kind of about even. I still have a fondness for the Dark Knight, chasing Joker. That's such an awesome scene, man. So yeah, it's kind of like neck and neck. But the Batmobile scene was probably the best scene in the entire movie, and that was probably the only big climactic action scene in the movie. Even though there were other action, scenes throughout the movie, that was just a big one, over the top, something that you probably would get from The Dark Knight or in The Dark Knight Rises. With all that being said, it was very boring. Listen, in time, maybe 5 years from now, will I feel different about it? Maybe. I would go see it the second time, but I don't really want to see it the second time. I think once was enough. I'll probably buy it, when it comes out. I'll buy the movie when it comes out, but I don't want to see it for the second time. I feel like once was enough. And what made it enough was being that this movie was so boring, not saying that's a bad thing, and being that it was so melodramatic. One thing that it was missing that a lot of those other Batman movies had is that there were actually laughs in the movie. I understand that this movie was trying to take itself seriously, but there were no freaking laughs. I didn't laugh at all. There were a few scenes, with the penguin, and I heard a few people rumbling in the background, giggling. To me, I didn't find anything funny. It just took itself too seriously. I just wish there was some humor that just broke up the melancholy, is that how you say it? Melancholy? Anyways, that just broke up the tension in the movie, because it was very tense. Speaking of no laughter and everything being tense, I want to talk about the villains. Riddler, I love the actor who played the Riddler. I like his performance. I love his performance in There Will Be Blood. Great actor. But I felt like his performance was just way over the top. Everybody thought he was creepy and freaky and scary. I just thought he was hilarious. I couldn't take him seriously. There was nothing about him that creeped me out. He just kind of reminded me of No disrespect, but he just kind of reminded me of your kind of like teenage school shooter. He kind of looked like that, when you see somebody, when you see a mass shooting taking place in the real world, and then you see the guy who does it, it usually looks like that guy. So he didn't scare me at all. I thought he was humorous. I thought he was funny. I just, a lot of people say his performance was creepy and horrifying. Essentially, he was kind of the Joker without the makeup. You know what I mean? He was essentially Bane without the intimidation. Essentially, that's what he was. Other than that, he gave a good performance. It was over the top. It was a good performance. So, but that was my negative thing about the Riddler. Will I feel different maybe 5-10 years from now looking back on it? Maybe is this like the Goodfellas of Batman? When Goodfellas came out, everybody were like, "Oh, it's a great movie," and then some people were like, "Ah, I just didn't get it." And then 10 years from now, 10 years from then, or 10 years from now, we look back on it like, "Man, this is a masterpiece." Speaking of masterpieces and stealing from other movies, we're going to talk about Colin Farrell's The Penguin. A lot of people, I'm gonna praise his performance, but I'm gonna tell you that his performance he stole from somebody else. Let me praise his performance. Colin Farrell, great actor, did a great job as the Penguin. I feel like there should have been more Penguin in this movie. Of course, they're doing a television series based on the Penguin, but essentially, Colin Farrell stole this performance. What I mean by that is, if you guys ever heard of the movie The Untouchables, if you have, with Sean Connery and Kevin Costner, it's a mob movie. There was Robert De Niro. He played Al Capone in The Untouchables. If you guys know that performance, if you guys seen that performance, or you've never seen that performance, go back and watch that. The reason why I bring that up is because essentially Colin Farrell pretty much stole Robert De Niro's performance as Al Capone. You can do a side-by-side comparison between Robert De Niro as Al Capone and Colin Farrell as the Penguin. It's the same damn character. So essentially, this movie just ripped off another movie. I'm not complaining about that. I'm not hating on that, because if you're going to rip off, if you're going to steal something, from another movie, make sure it's a good movie and make sure it's just as good. And essentially, that's what Colin Farrell did. It was his portrayal. His Penguin portrayal essentially was Robert De Niro as Al Capone. That's essentially what that portrayal was. I hate to say it, that's what it is. If you guys don't believe me, go. You can find clips of it on YouTube. Just type in Robert De Niro as Al Capone from The Untouchables, and essentially it's the same damn character. Which leads us to Catwoman. I didn't really care too much for Catwoman. I felt like they just needed a pretty face, so they got Zoe Kravitz. That's essentially what she was there for. Her storyline, didn't really care too much for her as an actress. I mean, they probably could have gotten somebody else better, but she was a pretty face. She played a good Catwoman. I mean, essentially, that's what they did with Halle Berry. I think Michelle Pfeiffer is still my favorite Catwoman, even though, what's her name in The Dark Knight Rises? I can't remember her name, but she did a pretty good performance of Catwoman. But yeah, I didn't really care too much about a character. I didn't really care if her character lived or died. And essentially, I didn't really care about anybody's character in this movie. I didn't really care if anybody died in this movie, and nobody died in this movie. Other than a few, well, people died, but all the important characters, they lived. So, as far as all the story arcs were concerned, I didn't really care about any of the characters. I didn't really care if the Riddler died. Of course, Batman is not going to die. Commissioner Gordon, what's his name? Jeffrey Wright did an amazing performance. Probably the best Commissioner Gordon, I would have to say. Even though Gary Oldman did an amazing job playing Commissioner Gordon. He had a big role in The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises as well. So I say they're about even, but I do like this Commissioner Gordon. Jeffrey Wright did a great job in this movie. So yeah, I definitely do like that, like his portrayal. So overall, it was a good movie, but it just felt like this movie stole from all different kinds of movies, all great movies. And I felt like I've seen this movie before with The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises. It just wasn't as good as The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises, in my opinion. This is just my humble opinion. I still have a fondness for Michael Keaton Batman. I'm not an old head, you know. Batman Returns is still my favorite Batman, simply because that's just, I can watch that movie anytime. If it's on television, I'll stop what I'm doing and I'll watch that movie anytime. I can watch it anytime. Everybody gave great performances in that movie. Of course, Michelle Pfeiffer, Danny DeVito, Christopher Walken. You know, and I say The Dark Knight and Dark Knight Rises is kind of tied. And I say probably the Batman will probably be fourth on my list. You know, maybe I might feel different 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Maybe I might look back on this movie and be like, okay, it's a good movie. I hope they do a little bit better with the sequel. I want to see some more action. Yes, I understand that they were doing the detective thing with the Batman. That's all great. I like that. I just wish there was just more action in this movie. And I know what a lot of you guys are saying. Well, there was a lot of action. Yeah, there was a lot of action as far as Batman beating the shit out of people. But as far as like action, you know, you look at The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, it was a different kind of action. You know what I mean? It was very suspenseful. It was very explosions and car chases and that kind of action. You know what I mean? And I just wish there was just something a little bit more, you know what I mean, to where I can go back and watch it and be like, yeah, you know what I mean? Just that kind of action. But overall, I thought it was a good movie. It might possibly grow on me. Maybe I have to see it 2, 3, 4 more times. Right now, I'm good with my review, with what I saw. So that was my review on the Batman, guys. I definitely do recommend, if you're a Batman fan, you're going to go see it regardless. But I want to know your take. I probably already know most of you are going to say that it was a great movie and so on and so forth. I do think it was a good movie. I don't think it was a great movie. I do think it was a good movie. But I wanted to do this review because I just kind of wanted to get all this off my chest. Because when I first saw it, I felt really indifferent. I didn't really know what to think. I didn't really know how to feel. And then I was watching everybody else's reviews, everybody else's movie reviews, and I felt like I needed to do a review. And so that's why I did this video. I just wanted to give you my 2 cents on it, guys. It was a good Batman movie, but it just wasn't my favorite, my personal favorite. You know what I mean? Batman Returns, Dark Knight Rises, I say is my favorite. And I would have to say, honestly, I would have to say Batman Begins and The Batman is kind of like right there for me. So we'll go ahead and leave it at that, guys. I just want to thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section about this movie. And I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.